Wendy Stewart, the NDP MP for this riding, and I'm getting really scared of this really loud microphone. Did you want to come up here? So let's welcome him. So Joel, a little bit help, but also like to emphasize how helpful Kennedy and his office have been is they've provided the map that is also in here. So if you want to, I guess, also give a little bit of a understanding of where the pipeline is, as Mary was explaining, we have a map in here. Thanks very much.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thanks for coming out tonight. Since we're storytelling, I always say if the warm-up act is better than you are, you're in big trouble. So I think I'm in big trouble because there were fabulous speeches that we've just heard and songs. So I'll tell a little bit of my story, and just to kind of tell you where we are in this saga of the Kinder Morgan expansion and the increased tanker traffic in Burrard Inlet. When I went through the election in May 2011, I didn't get a single question on this issue. Nobody brought it up. I did hear a little bit about the spill in 2007. A little bit, but very, very little about this at all. So I did my due diligence. I talked to my predecessor, Bill 6A, quite at length about this, and he said, people don't like the refinery so much sometimes, and they don't like the pipeline, but they understand it's for domestic use, and so the spill is a very unfortunate accident, but that's been the tradition in the community since the 50s. So I thought, okay, so I kind of put that to the back of my head and continued on through the election. After I was elected, and thank you for those of you who helped me out with that one, about 2 days after I was elected, I got a call from this company called Kinder Morgan, and the president wanted to meet with me, and I thought, well, that's pretty well the first person that's contacted me since the election. So I did meet with Ian Anderson, who's the president of Kinder Morgan, and he told me about his plans. He said, we currently have a pipeline that runs from Edmonton to Burnaby. It carries, although it splits around Abbotsford, it carries 300,000 barrels a day of oil. It supplies 90% of the fuel for the lower mainland, and we're planning to double the capacity at least. Put a brand new pipeline beside the old pipeline. And I thought, geez, that doesn't sound too good. A good easy first issue, being newly elected, that's exactly what I didn't want to have happen. I was hoping for something easier. So I said, okay, well, how far along in this process are you? He said, oh, we're very serious. We've looked at this route. We are talking to investors. And I said, okay. So then I started to talk around the community about this. I said, have you heard about this expansion plan? And people said no, and so I continued to talk about it and talk to other local officials. It almost like it was some kind of a fantasy. So, I did go back to the president of Kinder Morgan a couple months later, and I said, well, nobody believes me when I tell them this is the plan that you're considering. He goes, oh yeah, it's very real. We are moving ahead with this at a great rate. And so what I decided, well, I thought, okay, my training, I've been a social scientist forever, so I thought, well, I'm going to try to get as much information about this as I can. Two kinds of information: factual information about the pipeline. What does it mean for property owners? What are the plans? What are the legal aspects of this whole thing? And the other bit is, what does the community think about this? So I did a lot of door knocking initially, asking it along. Once I found the little yellow signs, I was able to go and ask in people's neighborhoods what they were thinking about this. They had no idea. Most people had no idea. They lived along the route. They didn't know what the little yellow signs were. Some people in Forest Grove knew, of course, people along Inlet Drive knew because they'd experienced this, but a lot of people had no idea that they had these kind of substances going right under their feet. So then the process started to get a bit more formalized. Kinder Morgan was starting to put forward applications to the National Energy Board, starting to get serious about putting this together. In November, I decided, well, I better get a real handle on this, so I actually called every household in Burnaby, about 35 to 40,000 households, and I asked a very simple question: is this something that you favor or not? Had about 5,000 respondents, 4,500 respondents. The company that I'd hired to do this said we've never had a response rate at this level before. I thought, okay. And 75% of those who replied to my survey said we don't want this. So then I said, okay, we're going to run into a problem here. We have a company that I've talked to about rerouting, going different directions, scaling things down, maybe backing off altogether. They're dead set on going forward, and I have a community that doesn't want this. So how do I move ahead? So I thought, well, I was at that point appointed as Associate Critic for Natural Resources in Ottawa. So I used the resources there to call for the National Energy Board, to call for a whole bunch of experts on pipelines so I could get a handle on what this actually meant from a technical perspective. What does it mean? What kind of substances? What does it mean for property owners if you live in a right-of-way or if there's a safety zone, how big the trenches are? And so I started to put all this information together and started to take it back to the community. So one thing I did ask for the company for is, where is this going? Where are you going to run this pipeline? Where is your proposal? And they said, you know, mainly along the right-of-way that exists now. And I said, well, could you provide me a map? Because I have no idea where that right-of-way is. Did ask a number of times for this, didn't get it, so actually hired another company to produce the map that's in your brochure now. And then, of course, I've compiled all this information and mailed it to every household in the riding, both providing it in my, also providing it in my office. So where are we now? I'm standing in front of a room of a few hundred people, at least, that know a great deal about this, that are not excited by the prospect of this pipeline at all, and are standing up and saying, you know, no. So what I've also learned being a politician in Ottawa is that I'm in a national party. I talk to people from Newfoundland, Quebec, Ontario, right across. I'm happy about that. Having 100 NEP MPs is pretty good. But my job is internally is to convince folks there that we can take a national position on this project. We have on Enbridge. The federal NEP has said no to Enbridge. We've been very active against that. And I think, and that's my job now, is to go back and take what I've heard here this evening, is to convince my party nationally that this is something that we have to have a response on that reflects the will of the community, and not just the community here, but also we've also been, for example, I also did another phone survey in Kamloops. They also have the same pipeline running through Kamloops. I phoned there, about 50% of folks there don't want this project at all. So my job is to take what I'm hearing here, take it back to Ottawa for us to develop a national position, and I can say that that is coming along very well. I do think that we are starting to punch through, and it's meetings like this that are making a big difference. So I'm here, of course, tonight to listen to what you have to say. I think I know what I'm going to hear to say because I've been hearing it a lot. I'm also here to answer technical questions if you have. I have just a few days ago requested that the National Energy Board send some people here to start answering our questions. For example, there is a right-of-way along the existing pipeline route. There are 2,200 homeowners that on their deeds a little piece of information that says Kinder Morgan has the right-of-way to your property. People don't know that. Also what they don't know is that on either side of this right-of-way there's something called the safety zone. That's 30 meters on either side. Your homes, what you can do on your own property can and is affected by these right-of-way provisions within the National Energy Board Act. I just met with the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board today to ask them about what does this mean for property values, what kind of insurance do you need, you know, to prepare for like the kind of rupture that we had in 2007. And essentially I'm getting no answers because they don't usually run pipelines of this size through urban areas. So the National Energy Board doesn't really have the answers at the moment, so I'm saying you better come and give them to us because I have a concerned community here, and before we go too much further down this road, we have to know the facts. And so thank Trinity Plus. Again, it is a strange 18 months that I've had from knocking on doors right outside pipelines, where the pipeline is here, people didn't even know, to having a room like this. It does make me feel like I am going in the right direction, and that we've got a great community support here. And of course, I can't be as eloquent as Ruben, but I think we're all feeling the same way. So happy to hear your comments tonight, and again, I will take this message back to Ottawa. So thank you.
Thank you again, the swap from the microphone. So thank you so much, Kennedy.